Good morning. This is Nicole Hartley Bradford at 5:20 a.m. on Thursday, October the 24th. I've been hit, as might be the best way to describe it, with the thoughts, the inspiration, the vision for something. I got to give credit where credit is due to Seth Klein, whose short film I watched a week or so ago, a film about how governments around the world mobilized after World War II started and Canada in particular built some crazy number of war machines to help fight Hitler. And what I was hit with this morning was this mobilization of humanity for Gaia. At the don't wait for the government version. And this mobilization plan, it gives anyone who wants to start a place to start. So if, for example, you're a person with money or the means to get money, such as you have a house that you could remortgage, and you could get this chunk of money and start to gather the tangibles, such as seeds and wood, and buy stuff from hardware stores, and so that there would be this list of supplies that then would be handed off to the people who are already skilled to implement, to put in the infrastructure. So, and there would be, if you have land, if you have basically what would be looked for would be like unused land that's kind of fallow, or that's basically parking lots, looking for parking lots to unpave and then build paradise in the parking lots. The barren wastelands, the deserts, anywhere there's a building, put eaves troughs on it and rainwater catchment. If there's any rainfall at all in that area, even if it's scant, just be ready to catch it. Be one of the things on the list would be old garbage cans, just rubberneck containers, anything that can catch water, scatter those around to where the water is needed, so that when the rain falls, the water is captured, and then bigger cisterns can be used to store it while the smaller containers are spread out again for the next rainfall. So that there's water being collected to water crops. So another thing on the list of things to buy would be seeds, and to gather seeds. Like, I know personally here at my mom's, we've got enough seeds to grow a garden that is way bigger than we can fit in the land we have. But so then the other what's it called when you directory, like a local directory, could be made for the people with the money, the people with the land, the people with the skills, the people with the time to learn the skills from the people with the skills, the people with the trucks, the people with the manure, the people with, like, just get people on this supply chain where it's like a locally built supply chain, where it's like, okay, where's the manure? Where's the seaweed? Where's the cardboard? And then get it to these places, where these empty lots, these drier places, and start putting in the water system and it doesn't need to be hoses. We're going to have lots of people. We don't need to have extra things like hoses. People can do those jobs with their hands. And for every work site, for every one of these grow a food forest in the desert, basically, would be the project in a way. Would have a trio of possibility managers who are there to make sure the human element works, because this is this is this is why it's the anti-war. We'd be waging the anti-war in basically gardening projects, food growing projects that also calm the environment, calm the ecosystem upheaval. So wherever there's dry stuff that heats up, greenify that with a food forest, with the people who are implementing it, who are local as possible, and this pod of possibilitators who joins in to make sure that they're doing decision making using resistance decision making. They're learning to feel, they're healing so that they can collaboratively cooperate and coordinate without reactivity getting in the way and putting the project like on hold while fighting happens or why a breakdown happens, and then they have to reform with different people because they can't get along with those people. It would be about also gathering the food to feed the people when they're away from home, or they can. So if you get this, basically a supply chain that looks like turn assets into money using banks or rich people. If there's rich people who can just go ahead and take money out and fund this stuff, do it. And then everything, like the first wave of people who catch on to it will probably, buy up the wheelbarrows, the eaves troughs, the shovels, the scythes, the machetes, the manure, the soil, the seed stock, and get seeds growing in greenhouses. Like you just this winter could be for collecting seeds basically and getting the space to set them up in sheltered places. And it would be like anyone who has a greenhouse, like maximize the space in the greenhouse so that then when the seeds and the soil and all of that are worked out, and the how to, because some people aren't going to know how to do this yet, but everyone who knows how to do it can be the trainer for the people who don't know how to do it. And I mean, I know that in the community I live in, there's at least 20 available women who are already doing this kind of thing with the resources they have, which are limited to the space they own or have access to, and how many greenhouses exist. So on the list would be also the supplies to build more greenhouses, to rig them with grow lights if they need that. Some places might not. And so it could be, like I said, the winter for gathering the supplies, the stocks, the seed stock, the soil, for laying it out so that when the weather and the light are right, the seeds can go in the sheltered gardens and grow. And so that then there's time to find, okay, where are these going to go? Where are these going to be planted out? And that while the people who are doing this are committed to doing it and not doing a paid job anymore, if they've left paid jobs. I mean, there's so many retired people or people who have the means to feed themselves and pay for their housing and their transportation and their communication technology while they are doing this stuff. So they could be training other people to do it. And those people could be leaving, like the people who can leave their jobs and can get funded for shelter, food, and supplies, would do it. And then the next wave would be governments catching on, philanthropists with hoarded money catching on. Would they fund the next wave, which would be manufacturing the to restock the stores basically that have run out of eaves trough and wheelbarrows and machetes and seed stock. And the first wave of seeds would go out, and then seed collection would be a huge part of it. So mostly the plants are being grown to calm the climate and feed people and create seed stock for the next season of doing it to the next level. So the first like it starts out with those who can do, and then but they're training people. They're training and apprenticing people to replace themselves so that then they can go to the next project while these people keep this project going and train people, and it seeds more projects. Another thing to implement would probably be uh, different things like passive solar heat supplies, um, passive solar dehydration units, so that the harvests can be processed in ways that don't require as much refrigeration or freezing or um, power-based processing. So yeah, some of the infrastructure building in the first wave would also be builders who know how to build like permaculture infrastructure, especially passive solar, okay, electric solar, so that the storage stations for power can be set up so that there can be functional outdoor kitchens that are made of things that are going to last. So it's not using stoves and ovens and refrigeration units as much as it's digging out root cellars and setting up outdoor kitchens that can be fueled by whatever the local accessible fuel source is. If it's deadfall, because there's lots of deadfall in the forest nearby, great. And this would be another thing, that there are people who are out foraging for it. They could go into the drying forests and take out the dry deadfalls so that there's less chance of those forests sparking and catching fire. And it's like remove the kindling from the forest so the forest fires don't have kindling in them when the lightning strikes or when the stupid people drop their cigarettes or butts or what else? So there would be the seeds sprouting in the greenhouses that have been constructed, and every nook and cranny a greenhouse, while water catchment, water storage, and catchment and storage is being set up close to the places where the stuff from the greenhouse would be planted, and the trees would be like brought out, and fruit, nut trees, and then plant annuals, perennials, so that there are just maximizing, basically spreading the food out, spreading the seeds out, spreading the water out into the desertified, barren parking lot places where beds are being built, where cardboard, manure, compost, soil, whatever layers that area needs to build up, like we call them in permaculture, lasagna beds that with rainfall and time and things like seaweed, and the soil people know how to build these. They already know they can make recipes for any location, and that gets laid out while the seeds are being grown in greenhouses and the water systems are being set up, so that when the time of year comes, and I mean I'm talking mostly northern hemisphere, and as the tropics and that area, I mean so much can happen without waiting for the seasons to change. But since I'm going into fall, this is like a great time for the northern hemisphere to start spreading the word. Like write this down, send it out, find people. If you're one of the people who has time because you're retired, because you're unemployed because you're wealthy, make time to write this down and lay it out. Get people who are systems thinkers to listen to this and watch Seth's video and get the because and use your funds that you have to make photocopies or digital copies and spread it out in emails like that. Because first comes the information send out, then comes the mobilization of the seeds to greenhouses to gardens mm, to and everything that needs to be built is a workshop. So it's like, if you don't know how to do this, I'm going to be doing it here. Come, learn how to do it. Practice with your hands doing it. Start building up your toolkit of supplies that you need to go and do it somewhere else. And like, people don't necessarily need a lot of money. They could be going door to door and saying, hey, here's a list of stuff I'm gathering, and including teammates to get doing this too, or to do it with me, and then have them, part of the time of day, it could be zooming into where the possibility managers are delivering the training to learn how to feel so that you can learn how to heal, so that you can learn how to collaboratively mobilize with other humans without getting into fights, without getting into these opinion-based wars and having it, having to the projects die and have to start over. Already, anyone who wants to be part of this mobilization can start going to Heart Gym, can start going to 333 initiation spaces, can start going to these kind of entry level, this like basics, the foundational spaces that are already being offered by possibility managers speaking multiple languages around the world. What I want spaces, and learning to get the 5 bodies alive, get the physical bodies infused with the energy from the emotional body as the emotions and the feelings start to move, as the grief starts to pour, as the fire of rage and passion starts to build, as the electricity of fear starts to be released in the body because it's not being used by unconscious anger and fear to sadness and mix it and dampen it and make depression and slow-moving people who aren't on fire about mobilizing for Gaia, mobilizing for a bright future for humanity, mobilizing for the second and third worlds, mobilizing for generations to come, mobilizing for the species that are being lost every day, mobilizing for calming the climate, mobilizing for cooling the earth, mobilizing for having the time of our lives. That seems to be it for now. I'm going to start writing and sending things to people, and we'll see what we can do. Believe in you, humanity. I totally think you're up for this.